I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and this is a breaking news alert. Special counsel Jack Smith has just subpoenaed both Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner in connection with the special counsel's office's criminal investigation into Donald Trump's election interference in the 2020 election. This as the special counsel's office criminal investigation continues to escalate. 2 weeks ago, of course, special counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed former Vice President Mike Pence, who's objecting to that subpoena on the basis of Mike Pence claiming he should be afforded the same legitimate legislative protections as a United States senator, because he claims that when he acts as the president of the Senate, he is entitled to speech and debate clause immunity. In any event, special counsel Jack Smith has now subpoenaed Ivanka and Jared. Both testified before the January 6th committee. Here's what we know about both of them. Ivanka was at the White House on January 6th. She was there and heard Donald Trump extort and threaten former Vice President Mike Pence and basically berate and yell at him to object to the counting of the electoral votes, something that former Vice President Mike Pence would not do. Ivanka Trump was also at the ellipse when the insurrectionists started to go towards the Capitol building. And according to some, including Ivanka, she was involved in trying to stop the president from perpetrating further election disinformation, although she seems to be very much playing both sides of the fence there and seems in many cases very much responsible for aiding and abetting the election disinformation of Donald Trump. And she held an official role at the White House. So Jared Kushner similarly held an official role at the White House. You'll recall that Jared Kushner was denied a security clearance because our intelligence agencies believe that he was compromised and providing information to foreign enemies and to foreign countries to harm our national security interest here. Regardless, Donald Trump overrode those concerns and allowed Jared Kushner to have access to the most sensitive information, which he handed off to the Saudis for $2 billion in return after Trump left the White House. Jared Kushner now is managing $2 billion of the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, even though Jared Kushner is not a money manager, and a obvious quid pro quo. But Jared Kushner was in the Middle East, probably trying to arrange those deals, knowing that Donald Trump had lost. He flew back and he was at the White House on during the January 6th insurrection, and he was there as the insurrectionists stormed the Capitol building, and there have been some who have testified, and Jared Kushner claims that he was trying to get Trump to call off the insurrectionists. And again, I don't fully believe Jared Kushner when he says that. And again, Jared Kushner, like Ivanka Trump, is very much responsible for aiding and abetting the overthrow of our democracy, so I give them no credit at all. Now, both Ivanka and Jared Kushner testified before the January 6th committee. You will recall, for example, questioning from the former vice chair of the January 6th committee, Liz Cheney, and she asked Ivanka, do you believe the president's obligated to abide by the rulings of the court? Here's what Ivanka said. Play the clip.
Ivanka, do you believe the president's obligated to abide by the rulings of the courts?
I do.
And here's the clip of Ivanka Trump telling the January 6th committee that by December 14th, 2020, the day that the state electors cast their electoral college votes, she came to the realization that Joe Biden had won the election. Really, that's what it took. Here, play this clip.
December 14th was the day on which the Electoral College met, when these electors around the country met and cast the electoral votes consistent with the popular vote in each state. And it was obviously a public proceeding or a series of proceedings that President Biden had obtained the requisite number of electors. Was that an important day for you? Did that affect sort of your planning or your realization as to whether or not there was going to be an end of this administration?
I think so. I think it was my sentiment probably prior as well.
And here's a clip where the January 6th committee played testimony from Ivanka Trump and one of her aides detailing Trump's rage at Pence for refusing to overturn the election. Play this clip.
What did she share with you about why it was concerning that her father was upset or agitated after that call with Vice President Pence in relation to the Ellipse rally? Why did that matter? Why did he have to be calmed down, I should say?
Well, she shared that he had called the vice president a not an expletive word. I think that bothered her, and I think she could tell based on the conversations and what was going on in the office that he was angry and upset and people were providing misinformation. And she felt like she might be able to help calm this situation down, at least before he went on to stage.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Lomi. Now, I've never been able to compost before. It was always too complicated, too much work, and frankly, I don't think I even knew exactly if I was doing it right. Then I got a Lomi. Lomi allows me to turn my food scraps into dirt with just the push of a button. Lomi is a countertop electric composter that turns scraps to dirt in under 4 hours. There's no smell when it runs, and it's really quiet. Thanks to Lomi, I have way less garbage each week. My family, we're down from 3 bags per week to just 1. And here's something pretty cool. My wife, she recently started gardening, and we've been able to use the dirt that Lomi produces to help fill the garden. And since I got my Lomi, I throw out way less garbage. That means it's not going to landfills and producing methane. Instead, I turn my waste into nutrient-rich dirt that I can feed to my plants. I feel so great knowing that I'm composting and creating soil instead of waste. And I have basically a limitless supply of dirt for my garden. The other week I had my in-laws over for dinner, and the food cleanup process was such a breeze. Plus, they all think I'm super eco-conscious now. If you want to start making a positive environmental impact or just make cleanup after dinner that much easier, Lomi is perfect for you. Head to lomi.com/Meidas and use the promo code Meidas to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to lomi.com/Meidas and use promo code Meidas at checkout. Food waste is gross. Let Lomi save you a cold trip out to the garbage can. And now, back to the video.
Here's a clip from the January 6th committee of audio of Jared Kushner saying he and Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Minority Leader at the time now, the weakest Speaker of the House in United States history, telling Donald Trump the mail-in voting situation was not fraudulent. Here, play this clip.
President Trump's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, and Jared Kushner had advised Donald Trump to encourage mail-in voting by Republicans. President Trump did not do so.
Yeah, I just remember generally, you had people arguing that we had a very, very robust get out the vote effort and that, mail-in ballots could be a good thing for us if we looked at it correctly.
There was one meeting that was had in particular. I invited Kevin McCarthy to join the meeting, he being of like mind on the issue with me, in which we made our case for why we believed mail-in voting not to be a bad thing for his campaign. But the president's mind was made up. I
mean, what a coward Kevin McCarthy is. And here is a clip of the ellipse, and this is the tent. You'll see Ivanka standing right next to Donald Trump at the time, and you'll see Donald Trump Jr. You'll see these completely traitorous, treasonous maniacs. Play this clip.
I think we're T-minus a couple of seconds here, guys, so check it out, tune in, do live streaming. It's gonna be good. Shout out Mark Meadows, an actual fighter, one of the few, a real fighter. Thank you, Mark. Kimberly.
Yes, how's it going to do the right thing? Fight!
really appreciate all the love and support. It's pretty amazing.
You know, one of the things I think Special Counsel Jack Smith is going to be focused on, though, that the January 6th committee was less focused on with these witnesses, Ivanka and Jared Kushner, are the financial crimes. Obviously, Special Counsel Jack Smith's going to be focused on what happened during the insurrection, the days immediately leading up to the insurrection and after the insurrection. But one of the things that Jack Smith, I think, has paid more attention to than the January 6th committee, although to be fair to the January 6th committee, in I think it's the third section of the appendix, they have something called Follow the Money, and it details the likely crimes, campaign finance crimes and money laundering crimes that Donald Trump committed through his various political action entities and fundraising committees. I think Special Counsel Jack Smith, specifically with Jared Kushner and probably Ivanka, is really going to drill down into that. And I do think Special Counsel Jack Smith is going to drill down with respect to Jared Kushner on his dealings with foreign countries. One of the reasons I know that is in a prior breaking news hit that we did, we talked about how Special Counsel Jack Smith, with regard to Donald Trump's theft of the thousands of government records, was focused on Trump's promises and dealings with foreign countries. And so as part of the investigation there, I think Donald Trump is going to be asking Jared Kushner about his dealings with Saudi Arabia, if anything was promised to them, if classified records were turned over to them. You know, most commentators right now are focused on this subpoena as it relates to the January 6th insurrection. I'm focused on that, but to me, that's the obvious one, right? What I showed you with those videos. Where I think Special Counsel Jack Smith is going with this, though, the financial crimes relating to the insurrection, you know, approximately $769 million were routed through entities, like basically straw man entities created by Trump's inner circle, so that the end recipients of funds could be shielded and could be hidden, so that it would basically just go to this middleman or middle people, and then you wouldn't know where they would then distribute and funnel the money to, which seems like classic money laundering. But again, here, I do think that Special Counsel Jack Smith's also going to be focused on the documents, Donald Trump's theft of thousands of government records, how Jared Kushner handled records, how Ivanka handled their records. So remember, there are multiple criminal grand juries investigating Donald Trump's crimes in Washington, D.C., and there's at least two that we've discussed. There's the criminal grand jury in federal court in Washington, D.C., investigating the insurrection, the fraudulent or phony electors, Donald Trump's financial crimes, and the threats and extortion of state and local election officials. That's all those four categories are before one criminal grand jury. Then there's another criminal grand jury that is investigating the theft of government records, Donald Trump's theft of thousands of government records, including secret compartmented information. I think these two witnesses, Ivanka and Jared, have relevant information for both. Now, one of the things that some have speculated is Donald Trump going to make an executive privilege claim here with Ivanka and Jared Kushner? I'm sure he will. Remember, they both had titles. They both worked within the White House, as embarrassing as that is. But any assertion of executive privilege by Donald Trump's 100% going to lose that. And he's lost all of his previous executive privilege claims with respect to Pat Cipollone, Patrick Philbin, his top former White House lawyers, Mark Short, Pence's former general counsel, Greg Jacob, Mark Short was Pence's former chief of staff, Greg Jacob, Pence's former general counsel, the top Pence officials there. The executive privilege assertion was rejected by Judge Beryl Howell there. The fact that Trump is former administration asserting executive privilege, don't really have that right to do it. There's some dicta in some opinions by the Supreme Court, specifically by Kavanaugh, suggesting possibly there may be a limited right to assert it by a former president. But in any way, that limited right gives way to an overriding, compelling need based on an ongoing criminal investigation. So even if there was a claim, which there isn't, the overriding need in the criminal investigation would supersede that. So not worried that executive privilege will prevent them from testifying. And I do look forward, though, here to Kushner being grilled on those issues of his financial dealings as well. And I do think special counsel Jack Smith is going to go there a little bit, because I think it is related to some of the money laundering crimes that Trump is being investigated for, that Jack Smith seems to be a little more focused on for criminal charges than the January 6th committee was in their congressional investigation. So again, big news right there. Again, you got Jared Kushner and Ivanka both being subpoenaed by Jack Smith. We will keep you updated as we learn more here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers. We are marching to 1 million subscribers in March. It's free to subscribe, so please hit subscribe right now. And in addition, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You will love the content we have on our Patreon, but most importantly, it will help grow this independent media platform. Thank you so much for watching it. This again, hit subscribe if you can. It's free to subscribe to this YouTube channel.
The best part of waking up? MAGA tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.